Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chris Scully, and I'm with Matt Winslow and Brian Dorado from Drive. And today we're going to talk about something that's really important to shops everywhere. And it's simply this, that if your business doesn't grow, it'll eventually fail. And if you want to grow a business, you need to market and you need to know how to market well. So we're going to talk about marketing today, and particularly since it's the new year, it's a good time for people to assess where they're at as far as your marketing budget, what you're planning to do with it, that kind of thing. And so we're going to get into that a little bit right now. And I think probably the first thing we should talk about, guys, is what what's the current trends in terms of marketing, how to get your shop visible to your potential customers. And we'll talk about some other audiences in a minute.
Hey, Brian, are you going to be able to do a screen share here?
Yeah, I can screen share some stuff.
Yeah, let's fire up some Google My Business and so forth. Because, we were talking about this. Some of you guys are really busy this time of year, which is super awesome. But here's the thing. People are losing techs like crazy. I know a shop just had 3 techs walk out of their 5. And you're not just branding for cars anymore. You've got a brand for techs. Because if you don't have your brand out there, it is really hard to find someone. I mean, it's tough. So if you don't mind, Brian, I'd like you to just kind of walk us through, today everybody's using their phone to find stuff, and just kind of walk them through a little bit of how the websites work. And then if you could kind of show them the Google My Business and just show them how when somebody's checking you out on a phone, they can see all kinds of information about your shop before they even dial your number.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
And one of the things here that you got to understand is Google's a juggernaut. They own, I think that the latest statistic is almost 92% of the search engine market share. So We're talking Google Photos, we're talking Google Video, we're talking Google My Business, we're just talking Google as a search engine, and amongst other things that they own as well.
Not to mention they own the number 2 search engine in the world, which is YouTube.
YouTube, exactly. So you got to understand, you got to play by the rules.
Yeah.
And the rules are always changing under you. And it's your responsibility, if you want to stay ahead of the bell curve, you have to SEO yourself. You have to make sure that your social media is up to par, because Google looks at that and they will either reward you or they won't, and they'll discredit you or they'll bump you down on rankings. So one of the main things you want to do is have actually a really good social media platform, and start with Google. Google My Business.
Let me just jump in here real quick. I know some people say Indeed, whatever, but I'm telling you, techs, they either talk to other techs they know, or they check you out, they check out your shop and so forth. So, Google's feeding that information to them. So if you really want to knock out recruiting, Indeed, some ad on Indeed's okay, but it doesn't really show the shop. They're going to check you out. So
yeah, actually,
why we're going this way.
Matt, I'm glad you brought that up, because the fact of the matter is a really good tech isn't going to go to Indeed to find a job. He's already going to have a network. He's already going to know who the good shops are, because he's connected. And if you want to make your recruitment easier, because recruiting is a marketing and sales function, and I want to make that really clear. If you want to be an effective recruiter, you have to know how to market, and you need to be able to get the word out online about how great your shop is to work out at. And that definitely starts with your social media, your Google My Business. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to piggyback off that, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't find any A techs, I can't find any B techs, I can't find a service advisor or a manager. Here's the thing. If you're good at what you do, you're employed. You might not be happy where you're employed, and you might not know that there's an out, because you're not marketing correctly, and you might have the best shop to work for, but they can't find you. And that's what they're doing on their breaks. They're looking for a way out. They get into an argument or something. They're looking for a way out, but they can't. They're trapped. So all the good people that you want, that you can't find because they can't find you. Or you can't find because they're employed and they want to find you. So that's another thing you have to take into consideration. So when you're looking at Google My Business, this is the 100% foundation of where you should start with everything. Facebook is secondary, Yelp is secondary, Google is number 1 first. Get your Google My Business up to par, right? And how you do that is optimizing, having a good website, right? A website. So I'm going to go to this. This is Knights Automotive. They're a great client, been around forever. Awesome people, great shop. They're in Ledgewood, New Jersey. And this is something that Matt and I brought up at our last webinar. we were talking specifically about hiring. When someone finds this website and they're looking to see if this shop is a good shop or a good fit for them, well, why don't we just like look at their employment tab, right? What's so great about this shop? Well, we scroll down, and Matt, like, what can you see here that are blatant, great, green flags for someone to get hired here? What are we looking at?
What
Why
the
is this
benefits?
so it's what
Makes it a good place to work? They have life insurance, health insurance, paid time off. All those things are going to attract potential employees.
And every shop may not be capable of doing this, and that's totally understandable. But there are some benefits that you can put on there. They're like, oh, I can't offer, paid life insurance or whatever it is. Fine, but do you work 5 days a week? Do you have weekends off? Do you, have a 401k, or do you pay part of it, or whatever it may be? You can still list it.
Does your team get along with each other?
Yeah. Are there happy people there?
Yeah.
Having an employment page is huge because it directs somebody on where to go.
Absolutely.
And that's number one. Like, you're people walking into your shop filling out an application. That's not going to happen until, that's a dying process. And it's
that guy just got kicked off unemployment. He's looking for his next gig to pay his next round of unemployment, man.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. They'll fill out the application after they've checked you out.
Exactly. Funny story.
That's the sequence.
Yeah. I had this shop out in, I think it was in Kansas, and they were a specialty shop. So they only dealt with Land Rover and Jaguar. And it was really funny. He was actively recruiting for an A-Tech that specifically worked with these type of vehicles. He was looking for another one, and he had a pretty good shop, really nice place, good people to work with. He's a really good person himself, great owner, great manager. And he had this guy come in with an old Land Rover. And I think there was something, thermostat or something was broken. So he brought it in just to see how they would perform on the vehicle, how the service was, to see if they would gouge him. Ends up, this guy was an A-Tech, and he was working for the dealership, and he wanted to see if these guys were over and above than what was happening in his operation. So anyways, he created the problem to his car himself to see if they would fix it correctly. Then he inspected it himself, and they did a great job. Not only did they come in with a fair price, he came in the next day and said, hi, he introduced himself and said, I checked at your shop. I wanted to see how you guys were doing. This is what I do. And he hired him right on the spot. That's someone, that's professionalism at its top tier. That's someone who has the pick of the litter.
So you're telling me we either need to buy a used Land Rover to attract techs, or we need to get good at marketing, right?
Yeah, I think the second option is probably easier.
It's easier, yeah, a little bit
more effective too. But yeah, so it just goes to show that, these guys are already employed, but they're looking to see if you're better. They're looking to see how you guys operate, how you communicate, and he's sitting in the lobby just waiting, looking how you communicate to other customers. Do they have a great rapport? Do they have a nice waiting room? That's what a professional actually does, who actually cares about his job. And that's a guy who's going to stick around for the long haul, especially if you guys take care of him, he'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears just a little bit onto the customer acquisition aspect of it, because there's so many parallels here, and we have a lot of shops that are busy right now, but you can't necessarily bank on that continuing forever.
Sure.
And so let's talk about what they should have in place to ensure that they stay busy.
Yeah, let me just jump in here for 1 second. It's a great point. So I was talking to an owner. He has 8 bays and 2 techs, and he's got more work than he can handle. Okay. Yeah, for 2 techs, but you got 8 bays, dude. So you need both sides. Okay. Just quick round numbers. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about it, but if your labor rate's $100 an hour, you're looking for 100 parts, 100 labor. If your techs are working 40 hours a week, that's 8,000 a week. That's, if they're working 50 weeks a year after you take out vacations and holidays, that's 400,000 per tech. If you've got 2 techs, you should be doing 800,000. You got 4 techs, it's $1.6 million. This guy's got 8 bays, man. He could be doing 3.2 million if he filled that thing up. So
that's right.
Just because you're busy doesn't mean you don't need to do marketing, man.
Exactly.
I measure success as, it's not how much you made, it's how much you left on the table.
That's right.
And that's the real measurement of how successful are you, and that goes to show how good of an owner you are looking at your shop numbers, looking at everything and making sure you can squeeze every dime out of every single possibility.
Yeah, you know, Mae West said 115 years ago, I've been rich and I've been poor, and believe me, rich is better. So
yeah, they say money doesn't buy happiness. Well,
you can rent it.
yeah. Exactly.
Right
Anyway,
on.
go back to Google. It shows because I want them to also see the connection to the Google, you know, the Google Maps and the phones,
Sure.
because that impacts acquisition on the customer side and the tech side.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that we do here at Drive in our agency department is we build websites, we do Google ads, we do digital ads, we do social media management, reputation management, just to name a few things that we do here. But one of the main things that we want to do is we want to monitor. We want to be able to track what is coming in and where is it coming from. Without that, you know, you can throw a bunch of money at the wall, but you don't know where it's coming from. So having kind of both your hands on the steering wheel, both eyes open, it's a lot easier to navigate how much marketing dollars you're throwing towards the wind or not. So what we're looking at up here is just it's one of our clients, and what we're looking at up here is a 30-day live statistic of how many people are actually coming to the site, right? So if you can see up here in the top right, it says 350 unique visitors. So these are unique IP addresses that get recorded within the 30 days. So if the same IP address comes back within 30 days, it doesn't count it. And you can see it over here on the left, 353 people went to 715 pages. So we're looking at people going to double, you know, multiple pages. So what that tells me is they're probably landing on services page or about us page or a blog, you know, and they're landing on that. They want to find out more. So they go to the home page. That's what that shows me. It shows me that there's engagement. So that's just the website. Oh, that's organic reaches, right? And then right down here in the middle, where I'm hovering, circling here, is your Google My Business page. That's this guy right here. That's not the dashboard for this client, but that's what this is. Google My Business. To the right, you'll see it right there. It shows a whole kind of snapshot of it, reviews, posts. You know, you have posts here, pictures. That's what that's all about. And you can see how many people are actually coming in through your Google My Business page. So right here, it shows us that 110 people in 30 days pressed the directions button, right? They pressed this button right here on their cell phone. Obviously, they're not going to do it on their laptop because they can, I guess they could print it out. But the way we have it set up is it doesn't actually record this number until you move 100 feet per the GPS satellite. So that's one way we know that it's actually interactive. It's actually something that's moving and going in the direction, and we count it as a statistic. You got 122 calls coming in organically by the Google My Business page. Someone's searching brake repair near me or auto repair or whatever it may be, right? What are the keywords we have, you know, SEO'd into the website or the Google My Business page? And we don't actually count one of these until it's the call lasts longer than 10 seconds, you know, kind of to combat robo-dialers and whatnot. And then you have 72 people going to the website organically. So they're clicking on the website from that tab, etc. The same client also has what is called Google, that we do Google ads with us, right? Very modest budget, but that modest budget per month brings in this extra traffic. So we have another 98 people pressing the navigation button through a Google ads. These are called direct ads.
Hey, let me jump in here for a second. Okay. Do you mind,
Sure.
Brian?
Yeah, go ahead.
So listen, there's a lot of you guys out that are going, you know, I've tried this marketing. I spent a ton of money on it. It's just not generating any results. So I want to shift gears here just for a second. We'll come back to this.
Yeah.
I know you guys do analysis. We have something called a shop business analysis. And one of the things you guys do is you actually look at people's websites and so forth. Here's the scam, guys. If your marketing's not working, even if you're doing all this, here's the deal. There's a lot of people out there that build this website and they say all these services. And then here's what happens. So let's say you've had a customer coming to you for the last 50 years. They love you. This outfit happens to send them an email. And now they say, well, they got that customer for you. I mean, and that's what happens is you think you're getting all this traffic. In reality, nothing's changed. They're just taking credit now for every person that ever walks through your door.
That's right.
Can you kind of tell them how we avoid that and how they can, you know, make sure that when they're paying for traffic, they're really getting new people coming in?
Well, it's kind of hard to say if they're new people, but because a customer could easily just Google you because they lost their phone number and then click on an ad, and that's fine. How we kind of monitor that is checking your database. Is this a new customer? Did we bounce it off your database? And Chris could kind of speak to that as well when it comes to doing marketing analysis with his clients, as far as checking for new customers.
Yeah. So there's a couple things. There's no foolproof way of getting a separation automatically of who's an existing customer, who's not, where did they come from, none of that. It's so complex these days, you can't really do it. So what it takes is actually the human touch of, hi, this is ABC Automotive, how can I help you? Well, I got blah, blah, blah going on with my car. Great, how'd you hear about us? And keeping notes, keep track. It's old school, but it's personal, and it also lends to your customer experience, which is, again, what people judge businesses by is how you deal with them. And that's true of customers, and it's true of technicians. So things like that are the way to really separate it. And as you said, Brian, if you've got a customer in your database and they lost your phone number, it's real easy to Google you. Nobody uses a phone book anymore. If they're going to Google you and they're going to click on the call link on your Google My Business or whatever.
Recognizable name.
Absolutely. Exactly. So that's going to happen. But the key thing is that you have the systems in place and you understand how they work and you use them to your advantage. And that's one of the advantages of working with Drive. We don't just provide agency services. We actually teach you how to utilize them to the best advantage for your shop.
Thank you. Hey,
that's right.
Let me pick on Brian here for a second. So folks out there, I'm going to show you some secrets nobody else knows. Okay. So Brian, I want you to walk us through how Google AdWords work, the auction process, and how to game the system for someone who's, an independent and hasn't got $100 million worth of ad buys available. Show them how they can still get traffic on certain kinds of repair without breaking the bank.
Sure. Well, Google ads and marketing and everything, you may have heard these terms before, and you kind of have a general idea. Some of you may not, but it is complicated and it's tedious, especially when you want to do it right and effective. So I'm in Hollywood, California, and let's just say I need a brake job. So I'm going to type in brake repair, right? And what's going to happen is this top ad here. I think at one point I searched to see within a specific location, which is going to be this location. This is called a geo fence, short for geographical fence. This is what Google deems to be the most closest, fastest people near me that are pertinent to my keyword right here, right? So this person is putting out an ad, and there was a point in 1 week we counted this. We have a specific type of software, and we can actually see how many times someone actually typed in the word brake repair, this specific key phrase. And I think within my area it was something like 26,000 times, right? That specific key phrase, brake repair, in that little area, that little 5 square mile area. And because of that volume, it costed somewhere around $15 to $17 to put one ad right up here. And if I were to click on this, it would, at the time, it would have costed about $15 to $17 just for one conversion, just to click on that ad. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to call you. That doesn't mean anything. All that means is that I'm in your face now, and I'm trying to sell you. So you better have good content on the other side of that ad, which is most likely your website. You better have something that's captivating, easy to use. When you click on this website here, you have a phone number stuck at the top. You have the address right here. You have services. You have everything here that answers any question. So
go back to that website for a second. So
sure.
Here's the game, folks, that a lot of people don't know. So the way Google AdWords work, let's say it's in your market, it's $20 a hit. I was recently working for a contracting company on the side, and our one click was costing us $200 for what we were looking for, but it gave us the better leads. But here's the problem. Go back to that screen if you would. What Google does when you set up an ad, let's say you have an $80 or let's say you have a $40 a day budget, right? and you want to get a lot of clicks for 40 bucks. Here's a problem. If the going rate in the auction for that keyword is 20 bucks, as soon as you get 2 clicks, your ad disappears until the next day.
Yep.
You're done. You disappear, man. All of a sudden you're at, so just two random people click you, boom, you don't exist anymore. Tell them how we can game that system so we can stay up all day without breaking the bank.
Sure. And there are ways to manipulate it so that you can stretch your $40. Let me give you an example really fast before we move on to that. Is go ahead and put an ad on the second page. Look, same guy, ad on the second page.
Much lower price.
Much lower price. We're talking $2, maybe $1 to be on the second page. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you went to the second page of a service or for a search when you were looking for brake repair or something that you needed right away?
If it's something I'm going to buy, forget it.
Exactly.
Wait, there's a second page.
Exactly.
The only time actually, and this is an important point for me. The only time I go past page 1 is if I'm actually doing serious research on something.
Exactly.
If I'm not doing serious research and I'm shopping, I never leave the first page.
Maybe you're trying to learn how to do brakes.
The only time I've ever gone to the second page is when I was using Bing, because Microsoft uses Bing on Windows 11 by default, and I can never find what I'm looking for in Bing. So I go over to Google.
Yeah. I mean, not many people go to forget about the third page. I think the FBI looked for Jimmy Hoffa on the third page. They found him.
Probably there. Yep.
He's there. So anyways, there are other ways around this. Okay. So brake repair, not every place it's going to cost different wherever you are in the nation. If you're in a rural area, it's going to be way cheaper. Obviously, I'm in a major metropolitan area, huge, massive city. There's something like 15 million people just in Los Angeles. So you got to understand they're broken up into quadrants. So just in this quadrant, it was $20, almost $20 per click. RepairSmith is a huge company. They have marketing dollars to throw at it. And then you have Downey Car Care, whatever this is, right? So these guys are competing. They have some mega dollars. And then, so out of that 25,000 searches of brake repair, I wanted to see how many actually people spelled it like this. Did you mean brake repair? But see how I keyworded brake? I want to show you something here. I'm still getting brake repair, right?
Yep.
I'm still getting ads. RepairSmith is still giving me ads for this key phrase. The difference between, I think it was something like 3,500 people actually searched brake repair for their vehicle this way and clicked on a relevant website that was spelled BRAKE and converted into whatever that statistic may be. But that price difference went from $17 to like 12 cents.
Right.
Nowhere in this ad is it spelled incorrectly. All they're doing is just bidding on that key phrase.
Now, wait, let me just jump in here real quick.
Sure.
So here's what that means, folks. If you're looking for the English teacher and you're spelling it correctly, it's $20 a click, 2 clicks, you're gone for the day. You got a $40 budget. Drive sets you up with some of these other things that get traffic. Now at 12 cents a click, you have 333 clicks per day before your ad disappears. Now you're dominating the market.
Yeah, let's say you just get 1% of that in the door for the day. I mean, that's huge. You're out the door. You're booking appointments. So what I'm trying to tell you is that not every ad has to be that way. There's many other clever ways to do this and play the game. It's just you got to understand the game, and to understand the game, just like some of you ATECs out there and veteran mechanics, like you guys know how to fix a car blindfolded. Well, I know how to do this blindfolded, and we do it correctly. And for you to learn how to do this would be probably the most beneficial thing you could probably do if you ever wanted to get into marketing for shops and for your shop specifically. But if you have time to do that, by all means, please learn how to do it. If you don't, I think you should really consider talking to us about what we can do for your site, what we can do for your online presence. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what you're doing. If it's car count, if it's employment, if it's something that you need, let's just get in there. Let's dive in. It's not going to cost you anything. It's a free consultation. Let's take a look at it.
That reminds me of the days back in the day when I had my business. I used to, initially I would do my own taxes, on TurboTax, and this accountant goes, I could do that for you. What do I need you for? Well, I said, okay, tell you what, you want to charge me $700. If you can save me more than $700, I'll let you do my taxes this year. He found $15,000 he got back for me. And I haven't done taxes since, man. Yeah, you might be able to do it, but why would you take the time?
Right.
There's gold in the bays, man. I don't need to be messing with this. I'll let someone else drive my car count for me.
Yeah,
And
you know, one of the biggest errors that small business owners make in general, not just shops, but in general, is the idea that it's something they could do themselves or they'd prefer to do it themselves. And look, if you're not the expert, you're leaving money on the table, you're wasting money, and you're also wasting your most valuable resource as a business owner, and that's your time.
Yep.
You need to spend your time improving your business and get other people to help you with those things that are not that they can do because they're better at it than you are.
Yeah, that's
And
a great
the way,
point. You know,
that's the way you should do it.
It's the one currency you can never make back.
That's
well,
right.
you know, Chris, you were talking about just how important that is. You know, a lot of these people, a lot of these owners are the manager, the tech, the service advisor, the marketing department. Okay, but here's the problem. Remember, you're looking for one tech to produce $8,000 a week in 40 hours. Well, if you're doing all those jobs, even if you've got unlimited time, you don't have unlimited mental energy. And here's all you're doing is you're working part-time as a tech, part-time as a writer, part-time as a manager. And guess what? Those jobs don't pay, man. So
Yep,
now you've got a part-time tech trying to pay for like 4 people in the company. It doesn't add up.
No,
Not only
it
that,
doesn't.
you have, 20% of your attention span going to each one now, and you're not going to be efficient.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of our time. Let's summarize a couple things for our audience, what they should focus on for the new year as far as marketing goes, and
Sure.
and we'll have a good weekend.
For me, consensus is, it's hard to find good help. Well, it's not actually. They're all there. You just have to figure out what it is that makes them tick, and you have to make it available to them. You got to understand we're in the era of instant gratification. So if it's not easy for a consumer or for someone to come leave a resume on your website or to get a hold of you correctly or see a review right off the bat, then they're just going to go to the next thing that's easy and get some kind of gratification from that. So you want to be on top of your game. And honestly, this is the future. Marketing your shop correctly, doing it correctly, being part of the internet community in your area is super key, because you're getting older and your shop is gaining more rapport maybe, but the consumer base is getting younger and they're getting more technologically inclined. So you need to figure out that a lot of these kids are looking at, a lot of these people moving forward, into the future, they're going to be looking at reviews. They're going to be looking at your website. They're going to be looking at the pictures that other consumers or customers looked at your shop and posted them up online. I was just talking to Matt. He posted this, I think it was a photo at this bakery, right? You were telling about that, Matt. There was a photo at a bakery
I was in Milwaukee and I met the owners and I really liked their bakery. So I took a bunch of shots and I just happened to upload it to Google My Business on their site. And I didn't use their credentials or anything. And I just got a notice from Google. Congratulations. You've had over 11,000 people look at these photos. So I'm like, okay.
That's what I'm saying. People are looking at these photos as, this is law. You could recommend something to your son or your daughter. Hey, there's a really good restaurant down the street. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to look it up online. If it has poor reviews, most likely they're probably not going to go.
And they'll probably check their Instagram to see what the food looks like.
Exactly.
Seriously.
But this is
Let
the
me jump in
future.
here just real quick. It's important
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, listen, if you want more information on marketing, we only had a half hour today. Brian and I are going in depth, an hour and a half next Wednesday. And you can just go to our Facebook site, click on it, sign up. It's no charge for this thing, but we're going to go into the details. We can answer your questions. We're going to show you how to play the game to win. And I will tell you this, I just want you to think about one thing. Only one team wins the Super Bowl. And the fact is, today, to get texts, you're going to take them from someone who doesn't deserve them. It's the same thing with customers. You better know how to play the game. Today, the game is online.
Absolutely.
All
I
right.
agree with you more.
All right. So that's all the time we have for now. Definitely check out the webinar next week. And also next Friday, we have a special guest, TJ Copeland of Copeland's Garage. He'll be joining
TJ.
us for our Facebook Live next week. So everybody tune into that and have a great weekend. We'll see you then.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.